Hey everybody, Ross here, and this is Bible Study Silverstar. If this is your first time on this channel, click the first link down in the description to go back to the intro, or if you'd like to see just what's been going on recently, click the second link down in the description to go back to Numbers 19. Now, without further ado, I'm just going to jump right on in to Numbers 20, verse 1. Then the children of Israel, the whole congregation, came into the wilderness of Zin in the first month, and the people stayed in Kadesh, and Miriam died there and was buried there. Now there was no water for the congregation, so they gathered together against Moses and Aaron, and the people contended with Moses and spoke, saying, "If only we had died when our brethren died before the Lord. Why have you brought up the assembly of the Lord into this wilderness, that we and our animals should die here? And why have you made us come up out of Egypt to bring us to this evil place? It is not a place of grain or figs or vines or pomegranates, nor is there any water to drink." So Moses and Aaron went from the presence of the assembly to the door of the tabernacle of meeting, and they fell on their faces, and the glory of the Lord appeared to them. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Take the rod, you and your brother Aaron gather the congregation together. Speak to the rock before their eyes, and it will yield its water. Thus you shall bring water from out of the rock, and give drink to the congregation and their animals." So Moses took the rod from before the Lord as he commanded him. And Moses and Aaron gathered the assembly together before the rock, and he said to them, "Hear now, you rebels, must we bring water for you out of this rock?" Then Moses lifted his hand and struck the rock twice with his rod, and water came out abundantly, and the congregation and their animals drank. Then the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, "Because you did not believe me to hallow me in the eyes of the children of Israel, therefore you shall not bring this assembly into the land which I have given them." This was the water of Meribah, because the children of Israel contended with the Lord, and he was hallowed among them. Now Moses sent messengers from Kadesh to the king of Edom. "Thus says your brother Israel, you know all the hardship that has befallen us, how our fathers went down to Egypt, and we dwelt in Egypt a long time, and the Egyptians afflicted us and our fathers. When we cried out to the Lord, he heard our voices, and sent the angel, and brought us up out of Egypt. Now here we are in Kadesh, a city on the edge of your border. Please let us pass through your country. We will not pass through fields or vineyards, nor will we drink water from wells. We will go along the king's highway. We will not turn aside to the right hand or to the left until we have passed through your territory." Then Edom said to him, "You shall not pass through my land, lest I come out against you with the sword." So the children of Israel said to him, "We will go by the highway, and if I or my livestock drink any of your water, then I will pay for it. Let me only pass through on foot, nothing more." Then he said, "You shall not pass through." So Edom came out against them with many men and with a strong hand. Thus Edom refused to give Israel passage through his territory. So Israel turned away from him. Now the children of Israel, the whole congregation, journeyed from Kadesh and came to Mount Hor. And the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron in Mount Hor by the border of the land of Edom, saying, "Aaron shall be gathered to his people, for he shall not enter the land which I have given to the children of Israel, because you rebelled against my word at the water of Meribah. Take Aaron and Eleazar his son, and bring them up to Mount Hor, and strip Aaron of his garments, and put them on Eleazar his son, for Aaron shall be gathered to his people and die there." So Moses did just as the Lord commanded, And they went up to Mount Hor in the sight of all the congregation. Moses stripped Aaron of his garments and put them on Eleazar his son. And Aaron died there on the top of the mountain. Then Moses and Eleazar came down from the mountain. Now when all the congregation saw that Aaron was dead, all the house of Israel mourned for Aaron 30 days. Alright. According to the MacArthur Bible Commentary, 37 years have passed since the end of the last chapter to the beginning of this chapter. I definitely wouldn't have figured that one out on my own. And that information gives us a great deal of context to this chapter. If you'll recall, God said that he would cause the entire generation of Israel that believed the evil report of the 10 spies to die in the wilderness over the next 40 years, and that their children would inherit the land of Canaan. This chapter begins after those 40 years are up, and the Israel we now see is made entirely of the next generation. We would hope that this next generation would learn from the countless mistakes and rebellions of their parents, but they seem just as stiff-necked, and to put it bluntly, dumb as their parents. In short, they hadn't learned anything. After a brief mention of Miriam's death, we find the people complaining against Moses and Aaron. Now, are this new generation's complaints at least new? Not in the least. They're complaining, just like their parents, about how there's no water to drink. Even better, they add in how much better it was for them back in Egypt, just like their parents used to say. If you do the math, you'll figure out that a huge number of this generation, possibly up to half or more, were not even born until after the Exodus. So how would they know if it was better in Egypt or not? They were never there to begin with. Anyhow, this shows another fundamental failure of the previous generation. They did not tell their children of the Lord's goodness to them and of everything he had done for them. If you'll recall, they were commanded to do just that back in the book of Exodus. Instead of telling their children of all God's graciousness, mercy, compassion, provision, protection, and long-suffering, the previous generation taught their children how to complain and rebel against God and his servants. Moses and Aaron came before God to see what should be done to provide for the people. Just like the last time this happened, Moses had no possible way to resolve the situation on his own. God, in his infinite mercy, told Moses that he would provide yet again. All Moses needed to do was take his rod and speak to the rock. God would do the rest and make the water come out from it. Moses, probably in all of his frustration over dealing with such an unruly, stiff-necked and rebellious bunch of ingrates for decades, rebuked the people and hit the rock instead of speaking to it. God responded to Moses' actions by saying that neither he nor Aaron would lead the people into Canaan. To us, this may seem like an incredibly harsh response, considering the offense. Why did God react this way? As always, there's more going on here than meets the eye. The problem was that Moses had rebelled against God by doing things his own way. By striking the rock instead of speaking to it, which God had commanded, God was not hallowed, and his character was misrepresented before the people. Moses tried rebuking rebellion with rebellion. God wanted to be shown in this case as compassionate and merciful as he is. Moses' actions showed God as angry and vengeful, which was definitely not the case. If the people had believed that this was God's character, they would have worshipped him out of fear of being struck down instead of worshiping him out of love for who he actually is. So, moving on, Israel tried passing through Edom on their way to Canaan and was refused. There's no real context given here as to why, but the best reason I can think of is that the people of Edom came from the line of Esau, whereas the people of Israel came from the line of Jacob. As we all know from Genesis, Jacob and Esau were rarely on good terms with one another, and that distaste appears to have spread to the Edomites as well. Couldn't say that word. And finally, the chapter ends with the death of Aaron and another major torch, the position of high priest, being passed on to the next generation. Let's hope that Aaron didn't fail to teach Eleazar properly about God, like the rest of his generation did. And that's all I have for today. Thanks for watching. If you have any comments, feedback, or suggestions, leave them down below in the comments. And may God make you as Ephraim and Manasseh, to be fruitful where you are, and to forget the pain of your past. And the Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you all soon with Numbers 21.